Hello friends and welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, my name is Kat and we have been baking our way through Some of My Best Friends Are Cookies by Emelia Jackson. Today's recipe is chocolate marshmallow kisses, or if you're Australian like me, chocolate royals. My family is having a morning tea for my dad's birthday this weekend, and his favourite biscuit is a chocolate royal. The dark chocolate royals with the vanilla marshmallow, and raspberry jam haven't been made for a couple of years now. You can still get the milk chocolate strawberry marshmallow chocolate royals, but they are not the same. And so I thought, my sister is making the cheese scones. I will make a sweet treat for my dad for his birthday. So first up, I will take you back to a couple of hours ago when I very frantically made the dough for the biscuits, and then we will continue on with the rest of making these biscuits. So what I'm going to do, I've got nobody at home at the moment, and I've got about 15 minutes before I need to go and collect. Actually, I'm just going to put some more lights on. I've got about 15 minutes before I need to go and collect Mark from the train station. So what I thought I would do is very quickly start making the dough for the biscuits so that it can be chilling while I'm not here. I will do a proper introduction after I get back. I hope you'll excuse my appearance. It's been a pretty long day and I just need to get these started so that they can be ready in time. So the first thing that I need for a single batch is 85 grams of butter, and I am going to do a triple batch. And to that we need to add, for a single batch, 70. So for a double batch, 210 grams of caster sugar. And I'm just going to beat this together while I measure out the rest of my ingredients. We need 3 egg yolks for my triple batch, just 1 if you're only doing a single. Oh, that is what I get for rushing. I am sure that a little bit of egg white in this won't be a problem, but I don't want all 3 egg whites in there, so I am just going to pick my butter and sugar out. And because this has now got a fat in it, I won't be able to use this egg white for making meringue or anything like that, because it won't fluff up properly anymore. So I am just going to give it to the dog, I think, after I've got all of this butter sugar mixture out. And we need to put our egg yolks in there. Just going to wash my hands. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I am doing a triple batch. Half a teaspoon of salt. We're just going to mix that to combine. And 150 grams of plain flour, which for me is 450. That is nicely combined, and we need to put this dough in the fridge for a couple of hours before we roll it out and bake it. All right, I'm going to pop these in the fridge, go and collect Mark, and I'll be back in a bit. My kids are having a sleepover at my sister's house tonight, so it is just me and Mark at home. Mark has been at a conference for work all day today, and he is pretty wrecked. So having something to do in the kitchen tonight is a bit of a blessing. Now, I am making a triple batch of these biscuits. The recipe says that it only makes 10. And there is there is 12 of us in the family. So I decided, in order to make sure that everybody got at least one, and hopefully there will be enough left over at the end for my dad to be able to take some home, I will make a triple batch. So these sheets of dough have been rolled out to 6 millimeters thick, and I am cutting what is supposed to be 6 centimeter rounds, but is actually 5.5 because that's the size of my glass. And this dough did end up chilling for the full. Actually, let me just double check that time. Okay, so this rolled out dough chilled for an hour and a half. So I picked up Mark from the station. We got something for dinner. I thought we might go out somewhere nice, but as I said, he's wrecked from the conference. So we just got some takeaway and had a nice meal together at home. I have 22 so far. I'm supposed to get 30. I think I won't have any trouble getting 30. So I got them all rolled out. I've actually got 60 instead of 30, which is probably a function of my cutter being half a centimetre smaller and it actually just making more than it says. My phone ran out of space while I was cutting out all of those biscuits, so you don't get to see me cut them all out. I did pop them in the fridge for a little bit of time just to make sure that they were nice and cold, because it did take me about half an hour to roll them all out. And now I am going to put them into my oven, which is definitely well and truly preheated, to 170 degrees, and I am going to cook them. It says 12 minutes. I'm going to check them after 8 because they're a little bit smaller. Hello again, welcome back to my kitchen. It is the next day in the afternoon. I gave up last night. My camera was having issues, my microphone was having issues, I was having issues. I just gave up. So I got my biscuits baked, I let them cool on the trays, and then I put them all into airtight containers. And today we're going to continue with the rest of the making of the biscuits. So I'm going to get an apron on, get set up, and then we're going to get going. So the biscuits look beautiful. They were baked for 12 minutes. Friends, these biscuits took such a long time. The whole start to finish process took something like 4 hours, and I am obviously quite tired because I do not stop talking the entire time. I am telling you about everything to do with the party that's going to happen and my family and when everybody's birthdays are. I think I was just really tired. This little biscuit is the one that I am going to taste test with you. And what I am doing here, I had already decided the previous night not to bake all 60 biscuits that I had cut out. So 20 of those went into the freezer and I laid out the other 40. I put jam onto all of them and then I started making the marshmallow. I have never made marshmallow before. Spoiler alert, it doesn't go very well, but I did give it a go and it was the first time I'd made it and they turned out okay in the end. So to make a single batch of marshmallows, you need to put 400 grams of caster sugar and 30 grams of glucose into the saucepan. And then you need to add 150 mils of water and 1 tablespoon of vanilla. This needs to be brought to the boil on the stove and cooked until it is between 118 and 121 degrees Celsius. We then also need to combine 14 grams of powdered gelatin with 50 mils of water and set that aside to swell. I, of course, did a triple batch of the marshmallow as well, and I ended up with way more than I needed. So once the sugar mixture has got to temperature, we take that and pour it over the gelatin mixture, and then we whisk that together. Now, the recipe does say to whisk it together over a medium-high speed, and it says that it will become pale and marshmallowy. It doesn't give a time for how long you need to whip it, so I was just guessing. I was quite nervous about the heat of the sugar, so it took me a little bit of time to get this up to temperature, but in the end, I probably whipped this for about 10 minutes, which, as is apparent right now, was definitely not long enough. So I put all of the marshmallow back into the KitchenAid and I whipped it again for probably another 5 minutes. And that probably was still not quite long enough, but I made it work. I very clearly have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So I have made an absolutely enormous mess. And they don't look really anything like what they're supposed to. And I've got 1 3/4 trays of marshmallows. But it's fun. These look a mess, but I'm sure they'll taste delicious. In here, I have 1 bag of Milk Melts dark chocolate buttons. that I melted in the microwave. And then I added a second bag, which I am mixing through, which is going to temper the chocolate. My wrist is pretty unhappy with me, so I've put my brace back on. And I have no idea how these are going to go. If I need a third bag, I will make up another batch of melted chocolate. But given that I've had so much excess every other step so far, I thought I would just do a double. So you need 250 grams for a single batch. Now it says that what we need to do is dip these whole biscuits into the chocolate. So if I dip the marshmallow side in first and then flip the whole thing over and then just use my fork just to remove a little bit off the bottom because it's all going to drip down. They're looking reasonable. They are extremely messy. And they don't look pretty, but I'm sure they will taste delicious. So hopefully my dad likes them. I'm going to do another bag of chocolate. Well, they're not pretty, but they do look good. I got 34 completely covered, and then the 6 really, really messy ones, the ones that I put the marshmallow on first, those only have chocolate on the top, but I think that'll be fine. The chocolate has set up really nicely, which is why she gets you to temper the chocolate so that it does set up really nicely. And I am going to try this tiny little one. You can see it's completely coated. It does look really good. I think actually these are really cute. I would potentially, if I was to make these again, I would do them all this size. They're really good. You can definitely taste the raspberry jam. They're not too sweet because they've got the dark chocolate. I think these are going to be fun. I made a huge mess. I didn't do the best job. I think I probably need to learn how to make marshmallows before I try this again. But they're good. And, I'm sure my dad is going to appreciate the effort that I went to. Thanks for being here today as I made an enormous mess and mucked everything up, but still ended up with some very delicious biscuits at the end of it. I will take a photo of what they look like when I plate them all up nicely tomorrow, and I will pop that at the end. If you would like, I will pop another video here you can enjoy between now and my next upload. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now.